Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson, and if you can't tell, my voice is a little off. I've been under the weather this week, which is why I haven't produced as many videos as I would have liked leading up to the Texas Tech-Houston game, but I wanted to at least shoot the mailbag. It's a little late. I'm posting a little late, later than I normally do on Friday. And like I said, my voice is going to be going in and out. I might have to take a swig of water, but I wanted to get the mailbag done for y'all. It's a big game. The season's here. So, I showed up. Here we are. I'm going to answer your questions. We have some really good questions from Inside the Red Raider subscribers this week, leading up to the game against Houston, which is kicking off 3 p.m. Central Time Saturday here in Lubbock at the Jones. First one comes from Easy DZ4s, who asks, he says, how sweet is the KoolAid? Should I refill the pitcher or wait until the out-of-conference is done? Yeah, I would wait until the out-of-conference is done. Texas Tech looked really good, defeating Murray State 63-10 in the opener, but it's Murray State. They have a ranked Houston opponent this week. If NC State handles their business, they'll be ranked when you go there. Out to Raleigh, North Carolina. So, two 2-0 teams. It should be a good matchup if Texas Tech handles their business against Houston as well. So, which is a big if. I personally, you can see our predictions. I have Tech beating Houston in a good game. It's a one-score game is the prediction I'm making. But I like Texas Tech. They're better than they were last year. But let's see how they handle success. They beat Murray State okay. If they are able to beat Houston, a ranked opponent at home, then okay, let's see how they handle that going out to Raleigh to play North Carolina State before we start really guzzling the KoolAid. But y'all know, if they beat Houston, especially if they beat Houston handily, KoolAid's going to be passed around. We know it. All right. Next question comes from WC Red Raid, who wants to know biggest surprise of the offense, player formations, etc. Same for the D. Yeah, he's talking about in the season opener. Well, I'd say the biggest surprise for me, and it's kind of surprised I'm saying this, but was just how efficient the offense was going up tempo. Because how many times have we seen in the last, let's say, decade when Tech decides to go up tempo, where it's like they waste a play here or there? They were up tempo from like the entire first half, and it was very successful. It reminded me of some of the most successful teams that use tempo. So I wasn't surprised they went tempo. I wasn't surprised they had some success, especially against Murray State. I was surprised they had so much success against Murray State, and they looked so efficient right out of the gate in the opener using that tempo. So that's good. In terms of defense, yeah, I can't say that there was a lot of, I tell you, and this isn't what you wanted, I guarantee, but I was surprised safety play wasn't better than what I was expecting. I expect it to be, including starting this week, and I think we're going to talk about that in a later question, but I thought Muddy Waters made some good plays early. I thought Reggie Pearson made some good plays late. And I thought Dadrian Taylor-Demerson had an all-around disappointing game compared to what our expectations are of him based off how he played last year. So that was the biggest surprise more than anything scheme-wise. All right, next question comes from Syntex Red Raider. He says, after watching the last game, how good or bad do I think the secondary will be? Speaking of that question. Yeah, I think the secondary is going to be better than what they showed against Murray State. I think they were selling out to stop the run. Everybody knew that Murray State basically was just a run-first team. Murray State knew that Tech knew that, and they played off of that. You got to tip the cap. That still doesn't explain why the cornerbacks were beaten so bad. It doesn't explain why the safeties were out of position a lot and they didn't provide help like you could tell the play dictated they should have. So that's something they have to clean up, and I believe they will. So I expect the secondary to be better, though not a team strength. Though I do expect safety play to be, just in itself, to be a team strength this year. Tech Freak wants to know, how strict is the new coaching staff on penalties? How does it compare to the previous staff? Well, Coach Wells and his staff they were a discipline oriented team. They definitely they improved in terms of penalties compared to the previous regime. No doubt. Like I remember noting that and talking to Coach Wells about that. But also I noticed in both fall camp and spring that they had refs there, and I mean, they would throw flags, they would stop the play. Where I've seen a lot of camps where maybe they throw a flag and that's something that's noted, but they don't stop the play, they keep going. No, yeah, discipline is important to this coaching staff, big time. How it compares to the previous staff, I mean, I would say it's comparable. Seaballs 20 wants to know, did my season's expectations get altered any, knowing that Tech will be without Shuck at least 3 weeks, which it might be more. I mean, I'm no doctor, but it's probably going to be more. No, because I'm a huge Donovan Smith fan. I've said this. I mean, if you watch these videos, if you read what I write on Inside the Red Raiders, then you know I'm a huge Donovan Smith fan. I've really liked what I saw from him at Friendship. I liked what I saw from him last year when he came in, not just in packages, but also when he took over as a starter down the stretch, winning the Iowa State game, putting Tech in contention in the Baylor game, dismantling Mississippi State in the bowl game. I think Donovan Smith can win football games for Texas Tech. I really do. Red Raider grad 2009 says, over under, this is a good question, over under Taj Brooks 20 touchdowns for the season. I don't know if you mean rushing touchdowns. You just said touchdowns, so I'm going to pull them together. And I'm going to say under, but not by much. I think it's going to be over 15, but under 20. Like, I could see him getting 18 touchdowns, which is a great season. I mean, that's a lot of touchdowns. So, he had 3 in the opener. That's I guess we're just counting the regular season if we don't count the bowl game, assuming they go to a bowl game. But 11 more. My math, obviously he's not going to play Murray State every week, and he's got to stay healthy. So I'm going to say under 20, but I think he'll be over 15. The old Buckaroo says, is it possible Philip Bleedy, backup defensive lineman, is already one of Tech's best players or too soon to tell? That's another really good question. I'm very high on Philip Bleedy, and there's no doubt in my mind that his ceiling is one of the highest on the team. Now, is he one of the best on the team right now? I would say he's one of the top 25. I really believe that. Just from a physicality standpoint. And then he's obviously more focused this year. We've talked about that coming into the season. He got 2 sacks in the first game, so now it's against Murray State. Let's see how he does against Houston. But I think he's one of the top 25, 30 players on the team. I really do think that. They have some really good players up front on that defensive line. The first 4 or 5 guys on the defensive front are 4 or 5 of their top 30 players. So, yeah, Bleedy's right up there. Whew, man, y'all are on fire this week. LB Man says, do I think Taj Brooks is the better running back? I mean, obviously, I assume you mean Mr. Roger Thompson. I'll tell you this. I think both of them are good enough to be first or second team All Big 12, let's put it that way. Really good players. Sarajic's already rushed for over 2,000 yards in his career. He's top 5 all-time in Texas Tech football history in terms of rushing touchdowns. So, he's a very accomplished player. He's a very good player. But Taj Brooks might just be better. I don't know. They're similar in that they both do everything very well, not exceptional. I think Taj Brooks might be a little bit better between the tackles, but it doesn't mean he's explosive. He breaks some long runs. But I think Sarajic might have that extra ability to bounce it outside. But, they're both good. They're both good receivers. They're both good blockers. Obviously, they're good runners inside and out. So, they're a heck of a 1-2 punch. This is one of the tougher mailbag questions I've had in a long time because I thought about this a lot. And I'm a huge fan of both players. If I had to say, I would probably take Taj, but if you gave me Sarajic, I'd be just as happy, just to be honest. All right, final question, and this is another great one. You can tell it's in season because the questions are better. Y'all have raised your game. DH Tech wants to know, what's my opinion on McGuire's use our best athlete approach on the QBs? He says he can't help but imagine him feeling a bit nervous if Donovan Smith is lining up against Houston, and Coach puts Morton in just to switch things up, and that kind of messes up the dynamics of the offense. Well, I got to tell you, almost everything, really 99.9% of the things that Coach McGuire has said, I agree with. And I'm a huge fan of Coach McGuire. I really am. But this is one, when I heard it in the press conference, I was like, I don't know if I agree with this. Quarterback is different. Right? He's probably forgotten more football than I know. That's granted. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get Morton in here or there, but it's a slippery slope there. I do think you ride your quarterback and you go with him unless you have some really special, unique package. I don't know that Baron Morton really provides that. I think he's the future. I'm a huge Baron Morton fan. But I think Donovan Smith is the guy you ride right now, unless he falters and you need to switch it up. But that's not what Coach McGuire is saying. Coach McGuire is a Hall of Fame high school football coach, and everything he's done so far at Texas Tech has been gold. So perhaps he's right. But you asked me the question, I'm answering it. Yeah, I don't really agree with Coach McGuire on this one specific topic. But, with that, great questions from y'all. I'm sorry about my voice. Like I said, I'm under the weather. I knew it was going to sound bad, but I wanted to show up. I wanted to provide a mailbag, do a video going into the Houston game. So here it is. For that, I want to thank you for watching. And until